Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 1st of May for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you some standout details to look out for, but please stay with me. I will then explore each of the 12 zodiac signs in much greater detail. If you're a returning visitor, thank you so much for joining me once more. If you're new here, it's great to have you with us. I'd be honoured if you would subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. Also, if you'd like to get your free daily horoscope fired to your device each morning, please see the link beneath this video where you can subscribe. And if you'd like to have a one-to-one with me, please also see below where you can read my testimonials. Now this week begins with a really important astrological event, and that's called the Mercury cazimi with the Sun. Mercury, of course, is retrograde at the moment in the sign of Taurus, and that's asking us to think very much about our sense of self-worth, our values, everyday money, and the foundations of our life. Also, the sign of Taurus, where the Sun is located along with Mercury and the North Node and Uranus, is very much about food and also about where we gain pleasures. It's ruled by Venus. So the combination of the Sun and Mercury so closely together as we see it from Earth, despite Mercury's retrograde, gives us a chance to try to be more flexible about some of our attitudes which may be quite stuck and a little bit rigid. So if we can flex, that's a good thing. Now Uranus in Taurus, not its best location, is in a good alliance with Mars in Cancer, also in full. But that combination is asking us to think outside the box. Now, of course, the main event this week is the Scorpio lunar eclipse, an exact mirror image of the Taurus lunar eclipse, which occurred on the 8th of November last year and predicated the financial crisis that we have been going through since then. But Saturn, the planet of restriction, was in the sign of the collective, of the people, the sign of Aquarius when that event occurred. And that led to a lot of restriction for us all, but also a lot of outspoken pushing back around what's seen as perceived unfairness. So I feel that this particular eclipse is going to see more revelations, but also around not just the financial sphere, but also around some very famous people's attitudes to intimacy. So I'm trying to be very diplomatic there. So because Uranus is in the mix, I think we are going to see lots of more shocking revelations over the next 6 months, but also a continuing push to reset our attitude and relationship to our consumption of resources. So we're being asked, particularly with Saturn in a great link with the North Node, to actually embrace a more spiritual, emotional and psychological sphere rather than purely a material one. Now when it comes to romance this week, with Venus and Neptune in a square exactly on Thursday, but in touch with one another all this week within 3 degrees, things can really seem a little confusing. If there is someone who's being very flattering but rather elusive, do proceed with caution. And that's the great thing about this Taurus energy this week, because it's asking us to gravitate towards the things that are really solid, tangible, and give us a sense of security. You know, whether it's making our own food from scratch, growing our own vegetables, going for a nice walk in the country, having a lovely cup of tea with someone we're very fond of. Those solid, secure things can be a great antidote to the swirling mist of Neptune applying to Venus, which can be very flirty, but also very deceptive. So if you do meet someone that you find to be very alluring, do proceed with a degree of caution. But then on Sunday, Venus relocates, joining with Mars in Cancer. If you have or do make some changes to where you live this week, which wouldn't be a surprise, or some kind of rental or house purchase plan takes a lively step forwards, I feel that what Venus does is bring a more healing balm to the more aggressive energies of Mars, which of course is more action orientated, but a bit defensive and a bit moody in the sign of Cancer. So there's a little bit more of a softening as this week draws to a close, but a great opportunity to think about redecoration or some kind of family gathering or reunion. Now, please stay with me for your in-depth forecast from Aries through to Pisces. If you would like to understand how Sirius astrology can work its way into your situation in such a profound way, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can produce for you your life roadmap report, totally unique to you, which can help you to understand some of the patterns that have gone on in your life, but also get a much more intimate understanding of how to work with them. In my special package of 30% off, you can also get your 12-month personal forecast. This can give you Syrian insights for the months ahead, but if you don't know your time, my solar package, which I've recently developed, and if you are someone who really enjoys watching your sun forecast, if you don't know your ascendant, because you don't have an exact idea of your time of birth, then these charts can be very, very helpful to you. Again, the same package, 30% off. Please see the link below. So Taurus, your week commencing the 1st of May forecast is really exciting. You know, I feel that you've been proving a lot of people wrong in recent years, insofar as that your reputation of being incredibly reliable, dependable and consistent, I don't feel that that's in any kind of question, but I think what you've been doing is actually being very spirited, very entrepreneurial, very galvanizing in your approach at times, and there may be other parts of you that you still take sanctuary in that are more familiar to you. So it's been a little bit of an inner tug of war, but I feel that where you've been really surprising people is the dash you've been shown, whether it's about subjects that you've really become very informed on, whether you've travelled a lot, whether you've published something, whether you've gained some kind of accreditation professionally, or whether you've been shaken up your world by leaving a stale relationship or somewhere that you lived for a long time, or changing it in some way. So there's been a lot of excitement around you. Of course, it depends exactly where Uranus falls in relation to your natal chart. If you're born in the first half of the sign of Taurus, you've definitely had some big stuff going on over the last few years. So as Mercury in its retrograde combines with the Sun on Monday, you could dazzle people once more. You know, you could really cut into a situation in a very incisive way, a bit like the Ace of Swords in the tarot, and just really sharply analyze something. Equally, something that you may have started a while ago could come to a point where you realize it's not going to go forwards, and you may change tact. Don't beat yourself up if something does change, or if you have a really intense conversation with someone this week. Someone could be quite outspoken and blunt with you, or perhaps you're going to be the person who just tells it as it is, and that's because of the passion of Mars in your 3rd house. But of course, your ruler Venus is compromised by Neptune this week, and Venus is in the part of your situation that could see you drawn towards calorific goodies. Yes, if the stress is building up a little bit, anything remotely yummy may see you making a beeline to it. And of course, Neptune could therefore include any kind of beverage that gives you a moment of escapism. So seriously, there could be a propensity this week to try and escape any stresses through comfort eating or having a drink, and that may be something that you really can enjoy. But Venus and Neptune can expand hugely. So if you are wanting to stick to a diet plan, it could be tested this week. But of course, the eclipse is in your opposite sign. What does that mean? Well, I think it's possible that somebody may be finding all these changes that you've been acting out rather challenging and actually push back a little bit. A relationship that isn't really very equitable, the give and get, isn't working very efficiently, could definitely come under strain over the next 6 months, particularly if someone does feel that you're being too self-centered, too caught up in what's important to you. You're not being quite as conscious of their needs as you have in the past, and that could create some instability. But equally, with Venus moving at the end of this week into Cancer, you can also see your svelte diplomacy, which comes, to be honest, perhaps more through the rulership of the sign of Libra, but certainly your ability to choose words carefully and articulate them with your sultry magic is going to be amplified hugely over the next few weeks, and that could see some really lively connections or some text messages or emails going backwards and forwards that could even get a little bit sultry. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Taurus. Thank you so much for joining me. Please like, comment or subscribe.